Thank you, Thomas, and good morning to everyone, and thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning. This is really much appreciated. I'm certainly aware you have a very busy day, so thank you for spending the next hour with us. We have a great agenda, as you'll see, as we're going to unveil some of the key new principle architecture we have in enterprise networking. We'll have a number of demos as well to make it even more interactive. But let me get started and let me introduce myself. So I'm Eric Marin. I work as the CTO for enterprise networks for Cisco in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, as well as heading the technical operations for that architecture. So what I'm here today to cover is really the new Cisco DNA, Cisco Digital Network Architecture, which I think is a very exciting. But let me start with digitization, because the reason we came up with that architecture is really to address, from an architectural standpoint, the emerging needs driven by digitization. And at the very heart, for any companies to go digital, there are really three main priorities they need to embrace, which is one, retransforming their processes and business models. And we've seen it with many, many companies out there. Obviously, the Airbnb of the world, the Uber of the world, but also in many, many verticals, manufacturing and finance, for example, just to name a few. Obviously, making their workforce more efficient, more productive, and then also more and more personalizing the customer or a citizen experience if you're a government agencies, for example, right? But if you think about it, at the heart of digitization, there are a few key technological trends that are fueling digitization: mobility, IoT, analytics, and cloud. And at the center of all those trends, the network is absolutely paramount. The network is the one common element that touches every single one of them. Now, if you look at the job of IT and the CTO and the CIO of the world, or the head of infrastructure, this is really how their job looks like today, right? Because they need to navigate this new map. They need to embrace, from an IT standpoint, digitization, and this is really, really complex, right? In my role, I work and meet with tens and tens of customers and partners as well, but customers every month. And I've met with many customers that are on the verge of going digital and digitizing many processes. But this is really how the role of a CIO or CTO really looks like. Very conflicting priorities, very challenging priorities. Because at the same time, yes, they need to reduce cost and complexity. And today they spend a lot of OPEX on just keeping the lights on. But at the same time, they get more devices and apps and users onto their network. They need to lower risk and address the complexity challenge. The new regulations also emerging, but at the same time, they need to innovate faster, right? And this is the dilemma they are facing. How can I innovate faster and be more agile, while at the same time managing security and risk and reducing cost and complexity? Because obviously, IT is not becoming less complex these days. So this is really what IT today needs to embrace when it comes to digitizing their company and processes. So a very set of challenging priorities for them. In addition to that, the head of infrastructure feel an increased pressure when it comes to operating their network. And this is something that I've heard many, many times from CIOs that I'm working with. And if you look at this chart, this is really the right-hand side of that chart, which is in computing and in the data center, the last 5 years, really, we've seen a huge shift in terms of instantiating services or machines and servers or VMs from a few days down to just a few minutes, right? It took a few days to just enable an application. and VM just a few years ago. It's now only taking a few minutes, right? But the same kind of requirements and the SLA are now being expected from the head of infrastructure and the teams that are operating their network. So this is the kind of expectations that now the businesses and the line of businesses have on the guys running the infrastructure, which is obviously very challenging. So quickly, our customers and we as a solution provider, we have realized that we needed to evolve our infrastructure and our solutions. And we have realized that we needed to evolve the solutions we're providing for just being today a platform of connectivity to become a platform for insights and experiences, a platform for automation, and a platform for security. And this is really how we needed to evolve our architecture. And this is why we introduced the Cisco Digital Network Architecture back in March at the Partner Summit. And we unveiled this new architecture. And by the way, after I'm done with my own section, you will have actual live demos of several elements of that architecture. What I'll do in the next 3 minutes before I pass the ball to the next speaker, which we will be doing a demo, I'd like to quickly go over the 5 principles of that architecture. And starting with the bottom, which is virtualization, which is a key element of that new architecture. What we're doing here at that level, we're really taking 25 plus years of innovation in networking, and we're putting that innovation in software in a virtualized form factor. In other words, we are putting things like a router, a firewall, an application optimization solution, a wireless controller that today runs on appliances and hardware. We are virtualizing and softwareizing those solutions so that they can run on, say, a UCS box, for example, right? A computing solution from Cisco. So we are taking what used to run on physical, we are now running on a virtual infrastructure. And this is a big shift because we are now able to give a freedom of choice to our joint customers to run networking solutions on any form factors, and they will have that freedom of choice. In addition to that, we're also developing new capabilities like the ability to run application and host those applications closest to the user on containers, on VMs, for example, on a router. So there is a set of capabilities we are introducing in that space. So virtualization is really the first principle of that architecture. The second principle is automation. And automation is really probably the most important aspect of that architecture as we are introducing controllers as part of that architecture. And we introduced also very recently the DNA controller, which really is an SDN controller, software-defined controller. And that controller is named the APIC-EM, which stands for APIC Enterprise Module. So the same way we introduced a couple of years ago an APIC controller for the data center, we now have an APIC-EM for enterprise networks. And with this controller, we have the ability to automate the deployment of services end-to-end across the network, again, very dynamically, fully automated, and essentially taking many Cisco best practices, like the one you would find in Cisco validated designs, and we're able to automate the deployments of those best practices in just a few clicks. And we're able to do a number of other things which you will see in the demo, so I'm not going to expand too much on it at this stage. But here we are introducing that controller. The third element is analytics. And this is something that in many conversations and meetings that I have with CTOs, for example, analytics, I have realized, is becoming more and more important. CTO, TIOs want to have not just visibility into what's happening in their network, that's obviously number one, but they want to have increased capabilities in terms of moving from visibility to telemetry to analytics and to insights. What kind of information, what kind of insights can I get, business insights can I get from everything which is happening on my network? And again, we'll have a demo from Federico in a couple of minutes. And then finally, at the top, the fourth principle is cloud service management. And that's where we're doing the orchestration of all those services across the network. That's where we're going to be able also to deliver a couple of services for our customers, services you will be able to resell for your own customers, delivered from the cloud. And in the coming year, we're going to introduce a number of capabilities. For example, we have a CMX delivered from the cloud today. But the fifth principle, which you see here, is you can show it at every single layer of that architecture, and it's very important, is programmability and APIs. If that architecture is possible today, and if we're able to innovate with that architecture, that's only because we have made our solutions programmable at every single layer with APIs. So we have the ability to program iOS and solutions like routers and switches and access points. And then we have the ability to also have applications program the networks. So we have introduced a number of APIs southbound, as well as a number of APIs northbound, southbound of the controller and northbound of the controller. And all of those capabilities are really, again, turning our networking platform into a platform, again, of insights, a platform of automation, and a platform for security. So that's a big shift. And what I'll do at the end of the session, I'll really go through what it means for you as a partner. How can you leverage that architecture with your own customers, and what kind of practices you can develop leveraging that architecture. What I'll do now, I'll stop, and again, that was a very quick introduction of the DNA, but we felt that it would be, instead of showing you many slides, we felt it would be actually much more interesting for you to see it in action, because all of those elements are actually alive today and available. So we're going to show all those elements in live demo. And for that, I'll pass the ball to you, Mehrdad, as you'll do the first demo this morning. So over to you, Mehrdad.
Thanks, Eric. So let me quickly go to the right slides here. Okay, so good morning. My name is Mehrdad Ghane. I'm working for Eric in the same team at Enterprise Networking in EMEA. I am responsible for the go-to-market and adoption of our DNA Enterprise Controller, which we call it APIC-EM. So over the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through some of the really cool and easy demo that we developed. You may call me biased because I obviously work for Cisco, but I have not seen a similar platform anywhere online from any other vendor that can do all of this selection of demos in such an easy manner. And you be the judge, so I'm going to take you. So what I'm showing on the slide right now here is this dcloud.cisco.com is the URL you need. You need to use Chrome in terms of a browser, because we tested everything works with Chrome a lot better. And we're going to do a quick search for DRN or DNA, and then the user ID and password is also written, so it's in the deck. But it's also online when you go there. So what I'm going to do quickly, share my screen now. So here's my Google browser. I hope everyone can see it. So I'm just going to type in dcloud. As soon as I put that, it will hopefully is the first search, top of your list. So I'm going to click on it. It will then ask me my location, which region I am. So I am sitting in EMEA, so I'm based out of London. So it will then bring out the dCloud dashboard for me. You need to log in, initial login to the dCloud, and this is typically your CCO user ID and password. So my user ID is picked up already, password is picked up. I'm going to log into dCloud. As you log in, the first screen you see, I'm sure most of you will experience, but just in case for those who don't know, you will see my dashboard. If I have already a list of sessions, it will show what sessions are lined up. But because I haven't lined up any sessions, there's nothing. So you have to go to the home page. Okay? So once you're on the home page, then here you have the option of either scrolling through different categories. So the demo we're going to do is around APIC-EM, which is the DNA controller for enterprise campus, WAN, and branch and access. So this sits under enterprise networking, but as you can see, there are 51 different types of demos there. So we're going to do a quick search here for DRN. It will now show you the ones that you will see, the one for partner. And this is a really simple and always on demo, so it's really easy. You don't have to do much scheduling or setup. So I'm going to click on Digital Ready Network for Partners, always on. It will again show me where are my nearest locations, data centers to pick up this demo. So obviously I selected EMEA as a nearest. And immediately you see this page, which is explaining the different aspects. So when we talk around the story that, what's the value around reducing cost and complexity, lowering risk, and faster innovation, there are 3 demos built for you. One around automation and APIC-EM with the iWAN app to help you to provision these services to remote sites, to apply some QoS, to monitor, troubleshoot. The second one is going to be around lowering risk in StealthWatch, around applying security, which my colleague will do. And the third one is around CMX, location-based analytics. I want to just draw your attention before I click on any of these live demos. On the right-hand side, I highly recommend you spend about 10-15 minutes, because here we have the storyline for each of these 3 demos. One for CMX, one for iWAN map app, and one for StealthWatch. And then as you click on those, it will open up a PDF file which you can also download to your own machine to have it with you all the time. But again, I just want to show you how explain to you what is the rationale behind it, what are the stages, what the different scenarios are, and what the challenges and benefits, just to give you a story before you go to the customer and you want to explain this and the value proposition. You can just put it in your own word, locations and what it is, and then when you log in, what you're going to see. So again, step by step, even through the demo, you've got screenshots of all the things. So I'm not going to spend time, I'm going to do it here for you. So I'm going to go click on APIC-EM. It will load a live instance of the controller. So a controller is a piece of software, sits on the server anywhere in the network. So I'm going to type in the credentials. So AM demo 1, it'll pick up the password, which is C capital 1 SCO 1235. But all of this information is in the slide and is also on that document. We'll go. Never do live demo because now C1 doesn't allow me to log in. Just for some reason it's got stuck. It's not going to my password. Strange. Let me just try again, maybe open it up again. It's working. So just somehow, I think it was cached the wrong password in the memory. So we are in the actual controller. On the left-hand side, you see a list of applications that came with APIC-EM when we launched it last October. This is actually running version 1 of the software. We are version 1.2. So if you have the latest, download the latest software from CCO or DevNet, you get the latest version with few more apps on the side of it. But this demo is based on version 1. So quickly, we're going to go to the I1 app. There are also other things. And here, in the past, if those of you who've been working in networking and trying to provision a site, you had to order the router, come to site, set up and build it up and do some staging, and then put some initial config, send it to the site, then you go to the site and try to plug in and do so it was a lot of CLI command and it takes a lot of time. What we've done with this, we made all of those best practices using the Cisco validated design, as Eric mentioned, and now we can do all of these that, people were complaining that IWAN is too complex and it takes, 2,000 lines of CLI code. You can do this now with less than 12 clicks, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now. So managing a branch, so we're not going to set up the hub, it's already set up. So let's say we want to manage a new site. It will discover based on your provisioning that you've done initially using PMP plug and play app. It has discovered a list of routers which has not been used. So I'm going to pick up one of the router and say provision the site. Here, it presents you options, what type of configuration that remote site is going to connect to. So is it a double router? Is it two separate connections? Here, for our example, we're going to put like a router with the dual connection. I'm going to do that. It asks you for a name. So site name, I'm going to say a new branch. Location, let's say London. Okay, hub is okay. I'm going to first pick up the type of WAN connection. So I have dual connections, one through the MPLS for my business grade applications. So I'm going to open that, put a IP address. You typically get the IP address from the provider. So 222.1, and all of these are written in your guide, and then the remote site at the service provider is 222. First one is. Okay, I'm gonna change this, the amount of download up to 100. We're gonna use the default class, but you can change to higher or lower class. I press save. Different. So that's one side of my network is already configured. So the second link, I'm going to do direct internet connections. We're going to click on the plus. It's already fixed up the interface. All I do here is just how much upload and download I want to assign, and then save. So once I've done the dual connections, then the third area is about on the LAN. It's picked up already the different VLAN types on my network. You can leave it as is or change any of these. For example, let's say I want to have more hosts on my wireless, so I can increase that to 100. If I press save, it will now ready to this. So here you have an apply change button. When I apply change, it will show you what configuration you made, what are the names of the locations, all the details that it's going to do. You can do apply now, or you can schedule it for later. If I say submit now, it will start going in provisioning this. Because this is a read-only demo, and every time you go back, so it does not save the configuration, but the steps are exactly the same, okay? So that was how easy it was to set up a new branch site, how quickly you can do this, okay? So if I go to the main menu here, just to show you a couple other quick features. So it shows you a number of sites in progress, failed, how many provisions, how many new devices you have. And let's say now you want to apply some application policy, because again, as you know, using NBAR, Cisco can pick up over 1,200 different applications and already can categorize for you. But if there are any custom apps that's not part of what we discovered, you can also use the add applications to add details of the applications. So there, you can see all the different types of applications taking place, software update, different types. I can delete one, add something else for some browsing. I can only allow certain things. So this will allow what type of applications based, and then the next thing, you have to define a policy. Automatically, system would categorize into 3 different buckets of QS volume 1, around business relevant, one business irrelevant, and one default. So this is how you prioritize based on the two links you have and how high or low you want to assign. Let's say for software updates, I want to change it to go through the internet link, and I'll make it safe, and maybe email or let's say browsing. Okay, browsing right now is business relevant. Maybe I want to drag that and put it into business irrelevant. You can see how easy it is. You can move things around. I can change it for browsing. People want to go on internet. I want them to always go through the internet link instead of going expensive MPLS. You place save and you just apply changes. It'll tell you what changes you made, and then apply now, continue. It will go start provisioning. As simple as that. It's really, easy. And then obviously you can do other things if you need to go back to the main dashboard. You can do monitoring, troubleshooting. You can set up things. So everything around this is in clicks and tells you exactly what's happening. And then there are also obviously other applications, but because of the time, I'm not going to spend time. But they're plug and play. Really, everyone who's been using APIC-EM, they're using this for faster provisioning, automatic provisioning, path trace. You can check, what's going on, how the traffic going between the source and destination address. Really simple stuff that has a lot of value, to add to your daily routine of managing a network, provisioning this, a lot of good information. So I'm going to now stop here because my colleague wants to do the next demo. So hand over to Dave. But remember, APIC-EM is free. You can download it. Most of the applications are free. So please download and start using it with yourself and also with your customers. Thank you. Dave? Over to you.
Dave, I guess you're on mute.
Apologies for that. So I'm Dave Berry. I'm a solutions architect. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to spend some time looking at StealthWatch and explaining StealthWatch, and then we'll have a quick look at the application itself using one of those demos. So StealthWatch, network as a sensor. What I'm showing here is a standard slide. When you get to talk about this and you pull down slides and talk about StealthWatch, this is one that will always be in the deck. It's a good slide, but I've added a couple other things onto it in order to bring out a couple of extra points. So StealthWatch sits on the side of your network and it consumes net flow from the network. And it integrates really well because our customers now tell us that they don't want simple standalone solutions. It integrates very well with the network. And you can see on the far left-hand side of the slide here, it integrates across PX Grid with ICE, with Cisco IC. So StealthWatch becomes aware, and I'll explain that a little bit more how that happens in a moment. StealthWatch becomes aware of bad things that are happening on your network. It can communicate that to Cisco ICE, and you can then program or configure ICE to take action on things that StealthWatch has seen on the network. And also, StealthWatch can consume context information from ICE. So instead of having to put up a report or an alert about an IP address, it can learn the context. It can learn what that IP address, what the device is or what the user is, and it can put up alerts based on that as well. So stepping on. 1 second, I'm trying to step on the slides here and it's not actually working. It worked a few moments ago. That's better. Okay, so what you should now be able to see on the top of the screen is an illustration of a small to medium-sized network. And the power, the power of StealthWatch is that it can consume net flow information from any Cisco device, Cisco router or switch or firewall that can produce net flow. And the key point about Cisco switches and routers is that we can produce full flow net flow. What that means is that as the packets traverse the network, as they go across a particular device, with full flow net flow, the Cisco switch looks at each individual packet, records information in that, and stores it in a table. That's in comparison to a different technique which is used quite successfully to do things like accounting and network management, where it will sample every so often a packet flowing through. With full flow net flow, and it's almost mandatory requirement to do security, with full flow net flow, the Cisco switch will look at each individual packet. And the reason why, when you do security with NetFlow, you need full flow NetFlow, is that there are some super stealthy attacks which will only send a bad packet every so often. So if you're only sampling the flow and you miss that bad packet, then you can miss a whole complete attack. So what's really good about StealthWatch is it consumes information from the network. And with Cisco switches and routers, with full flow net flow, you can look at each individual packet as it flows through and record information about it. Now what you should see in the top right-hand corner is actually a reminder. So the diagram that I've been showing and talking about how we consume net flow is a simplified diagram of a relatively small network. Real networks are much, much more complicated than that. And it's now widely recognized that the perimeter of very large networks are going to be breached. There are just too many ways to enter into the network. There's too many techniques now. There's too many hacking techniques and too much malicious data around that your perimeter will be breached. So you need to look inside the network. And if you don't have a technology like StealthWatch, if you don't turn your Cisco switches and routers into security telemetry to feed into a system like that, then you don't really stand any chance of seeing what's happening inside your network, because you cannot afford to put a specialized security device at every point in the network. But what you do have at every point in your network is a switch, a router, or a firewall that can produce NetFlow. So now I'm going to jump into the demo of StealthWatch, and I think Mehrdad did a very good introduction and showed you how to get to this point. So all I'm going to do at this point is actually click on the StealthWatch demo, and all I'm going to do for the next few minutes is to look through this dashboard. So there's two things really that you can use StealthWatch for. One is near real-time security insight from this dashboard. So when I say near real-time, you have to imagine that it takes a certain amount of seconds for the information to be gathered from the networking devices all around your network, and then a certain number of seconds, so you end up with results within a small number of minutes, a certain number of seconds for the analytics to kick in and to work on this information that it's crunching all the time from the network, to work out what is happening on your network. So it isn't immediate, it isn't within milliseconds or microseconds, but within a very small number of minutes, you can have this complete picture across your whole network of what's happening, and that is what's being shown in this dashboard. So along the top, along the left is how to jump around StealthWatch, which I'm not going to do very much of now. I'm just going to talk through this top screen. So along the top, on the top line there, you can see the breakdown of the alarm categories. So there's real data, real malicious data flowing across this demo network. And from the left-hand side, you can see that there's something called a concern index. Concern index is a host that's been spotted running the analytics against the flow information that's behaving as a bad actor. And it's targeting, currently this is targeting one other host. Sometimes those numbers can be much larger than that on a real large network. Someone is actually doing some reconnaissance. You can see that the recon recon box has been ticked. And what we don't have is at the moment any CNC. CNC is command and control. It's something like a bot that's infected the server, and it's attempting to connect back into its command and control server. So nothing like that's been spotted. And then you go through the others. It's telling you in real time that currently there's no DDoS source on the network, on your network, but one of your hosts is actually being targeted. Data hoarding suggests that what that's looking for is a host that is downloading a lot more information than it normally does. So it's looking at changes over time, and it looks at normal behavior, and it looks at anomalous behavior, and it's noticing that what it would do if it spotted a host that was downloading more information than normal is that it would actually flag it up at that point. Exfiltration is it looks for abnormal amounts of data which are leaving this network and being sent outside. Policy violations, that's StealthWatch has got a large number of security policies built in that it monitors, and if it goes beyond that policy violation point, it'll flag it up at this point. But you can also write your own policies here as well. But the main thing that StealthWatch does in terms of security analytics is it's continually looking for anomalous things happening on the network that match predefined and understood patterns of behavior. So this is extremely powerful. It gives you a real-time look into this. You can see the different alarm types. You can see today's alarms that have occurred since this system was booted early this morning before I connected back into it. And on the right-hand side, you start to see another real use, extremely valuable use of StealthWatch, which is visualization. So there are some people who install StealthWatch primarily for the visualization that it can give you. It can tell you what's happening on the network. Probably not so much from the dashboard, but one of the things we can't get into because we don't have enough time is you can run queries and reports on the database of information. And that's another thing that is really very useful about StealthWatch, is that it actually records what's happened in its database. So if you need to do forensics post an event, you can go back, run reports and queries on that database to find out what has happened leading up to an event. So if we suddenly notice something at this point, we can actually then run, so we can look back in time, we can run back through the database, replay it, and see what's happened over time. So you can see which particular device maybe started the attack, so which particular user maybe clicked on something that they shouldn't have done and downloaded some illicit malware onto their system unbeknown to them, and then you can look at what devices that malware then has attacked.
Dave, I'm sorry to interrupt. You need to speed up a little bit.
Okay, so really this is just a very, very basic introduction into StealthWatch. We don't have time to do any of the queries and look at reports, but it is really simple. And at this point, I hopefully have got over the main concepts of StealthWatch and just shown you the main dashboard, and I'll move on to the next speaker. Is that okay, Marco? Are you ready to pass on?
Sure. Go ahead, Federico.
So let me quickly go a little bit through some theory here about connected mobile experiences. So in few words, connected mobile experiences is the Cisco solution providing wireless location and analytics. There is a third service, which is Connect. We'll probably won't see it a lot right now in the slides and the demo, but you'll have a free access to it on the dCloud. So CMX, wireless location and analytics. I'll just provide you with few words because I don't like wording in slides, but I still have to put some. So you will have it in the recording anyway if you want to read through it and put on pause on the video for the time being. But in few words, CMX, which is starting from version 10, is you can think of it as the successor of Mobility Services Engine, which was the former Cisco wireless location solutions. Okay, so to locate wireless clients on a map, we had a solution called MSE, which went up to version 8.0. It is still there, still supported. And after that, the next evolution of the product has been called CMX. We could have called it MSE 10. We decided to change and to call it Connected Mobile Experiences because of some more resonance about the services it is providing. So we're talking about CMX 10 today. And how does it work? Well, in very few words, we have our wireless architecture on the bottom side of the slide. I hope we can make some abstraction of all the arrows here, but we have our access points and clients, which are access points are controlled by a wireless LAN controller, and the wireless LAN controller is talking to CMX. So it is basically sending all the data about the connected clients, probing clients to CMX. CMX is doing some calculation and basically spitting out an X and Y coordinate on a map. So this X and Y coordinate can be used to do many things. Well, first of all, you can use it to take a look at the client on the map directly on the CMX interface, and this is what I'm going to be showing in the demo, but it can also be exploited, and that's the real power of CMX, is that it's basically building a huge database that can be accessed via APIs. And those APIs are mostly used by third-party systems, like mobile apps servers or some big data solutions that are pulling those coordinates, those data about position of clients, path they took over the day, the week, etc., and they're using it through external tools. Okay, so the role of CMX is basically building this huge database of location coordinates, but also some analytics services that we're going to see in the demo, and either provide them through a dedicated interface, which can be used directly on the product. But mostly what we are seeing is that our customers are accessing those data via APIs on their own systems. So how do we collect those data? Well, we have a couple of notions of location on wireless. The most basic one is the notion of presence. So one access point can tell you if a wireless client is there or not. That's the most simple principle. It can also tell you for how long the client was there on the network. So we have the notion of what is called the dwell time. So the dwell time is how long we stayed on the network. If we keep coming back once over the week, twice over the week, etc. So this is the very basic symbol of presence. If we take a step further, we can go into more advanced location techniques, such as triangulation. So when we do a specific site survey, so it's a real network design to try to triangulate clients with more than one access point, so 3, 4, or more, then we can pull out a specific coordinate on a map, which is the XY coordinate. So these are the basic principles of theory. Let me go back to the demo quickly. And again, I am already logged on to the dcloud.cisco.com with my Cisco account. So that's where I need to use to log on to dcloud. It's my cisco.com account. And then once I'm logged on to dcloud, I can use the AM demo 1 and the password to access the different equipments. But to log on to dcloud, I need to use my cisco.com account, which is the same that you guys should do. So I log into to the cloud. I follow Merdad's instructions to access the DRN demos. And here, as Merdad already introduced, we have on the right side some useful PDF guides for the different demos. So I already opened the CMX PDF guide here, which will show you some nice user stories you can go through. It will guide you through the different menus. Since we like to do things differently, we won't use the guide for the few minutes that are left. But by going again to our DRN demo platform, if we click on the CMX
Federico,
button, yeah.
I'm not sure if you are sharing your screen.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's a nice feature.
Yeah, that's not bad to share, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah, sure. Thank you for pointing that out. That helps. I was saying, as Merdad already introduced, this is the page we land on with the by logging into dcloud and looking for DRN. We have our PDF guide that, as I already opened just to show you how it looks like. We won't use it again. We'll just skip on to the CMX interface. So we just log into the interface, and we will see that we will have access to those three services that I mentioned. So we have access to a menu which is called Detect and Locate. So we have the location service, we have the analytics service, and we have the Connect service as well. So the Detect and Locate is as simple as that. We have some maps where we can already locate clients. For example, if we click on one of the green dots, we see the client MAC address, we see the coordinates, and those are the coordinates calculated by triangulation that are available through APIs. So this is for the triangulation if you want to already display that location on the map, or even use it externally through third-party servers through APIs. Also, we have the analytics part, which can be more or less advanced according to the location techniques we are using. So, for example, if we use the simple principle of presence, we can see that we can simply count visitors and we calculate the dwell time, so how long they stayed on the network. And we can split that according to different zones that we call the non-restricted Wi-Fi access and restricted Wi-Fi access, so to count visitors in two different areas. And that's already something, that's a big part of analytics that customers may already start using today. So how many people they have on the network, how long those people are using the network. If we want to take one step further, we can go into more of a behavior analytics and have a look, for example, at distribution of visitors. So by taking what is called a focus area, that we called in this case the food cart, we can take how many visitors of the food court were seen in other zones of our map. So for example, how many visitors in the food court were related to the other area, which is called furniture. So how many went from the food court to the furniture area, and vice versa. We also have a similar concept called the path view. Again, we focus on an area which is called the home area, for example, in a retail center, and we have, for example, taking that focus area, we can say, okay, 23.9% of the people who were in the home focus area moved on to the men's clothing department. Or, for example, 12% of the people in the home focus area came from the groceries department. So in this way, we can do literally some path analytics. And again, this is the view of the CMX interface, but you can access this data also via APIs if you would like to use your third-party applications and servers to use this data or to do the same maps with the XY coordinates. A quick overview just to leave you with the third service. So we saw the location part, the analytics part, and then we also have a connect service, which is allowing customers to deploy captive portals for visitors and to assign them to different zones of their maps. So this is something where you can create your guest portals, insert images, insert registrations forms, etc., etc. So again, the location, the analytics, and we also have the connect part. Okay. So not to steal much more time to Eric, I will pass him back the ball so he can bring you guys home. Eric, up to you.
Thank you very much, Federico, as well as Mehrdad and Dave. Right. So what I just wanted to do in the 5 minutes we have left is really try to bring it home and essentially try to go over what are the opportunities for you when it comes to DNA. What does it mean for you? What's in it for you from an opportunity standpoint? The first thing I'd like to say is, as we talk to our customers about that architecture and how that's going to help them on their journey to digitizing their companies, what I've heard over and over and over from our customers is that they want to also evolve how they consume and purchase and license our solutions from Cisco. And we have introduced more than a year ago Cisco One, which gives the ability for our customers to consume our solutions in a very different way, right? And now we are offering the capabilities to consume our solutions through a subscription-based licensing mechanism or even through an enterprise-wide software agreement. As you could see, that architecture is a lot about software. We talked about APIC-EM. We talked about, like Federico did, about CMX. We talked about StealthWatch for security. We talked about virtualization and virtualizing a lot of the networking solutions we've had over the years. All of that is software, right? And we had to evolve how we're going to let our customers consume those solutions, and we're going to do it through Cisco One. And for you as a partner, there is a huge opportunity to have those new conversations with our customers in terms of, again, monetizing the DNA architecture. So a first very important opportunity. The next one, and I try to summarize it, and this is based on a number of meetings I had with your own companies, the partners, the Cisco partners. The first opportunity is the opportunity to create a practice around digitization and softwareization. I can't tell you how many customers have told me that, yeah, DNA is what we want. That's clearly our direction. We need more analytics. We need more security. We need more automation. We need more virtualization. But where do I start? Please help me. And again, there is this huge opportunity as we're going to help our customers move on that journey in the next 5 years, really. The next one in the middle here is really to automate a lot of the tasks they do today when it comes to operate their network, right? And refresh their network and simplify the provisioning of their network. So there is a number of capabilities as part of that architecture that will help them do that, right? And then third, it's really about differentiation. As I said, our customers will turn to you to help them on that journey. And if you as a partner quickly embrace and develop specific practices around CMX, around security, around automation and APIC-EM, you'll be able to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Absolutely, absolutely. So what's in it for you at the end of the day? I've really tried to summarize it in 3 buckets. The first one, DNA is a compelling conversation starter. And you can show your customers how networking is evolving, how networking is going to be very different in 5 years from now, and how you can elevate networking to a platform again for insights, automation, and security. As a result, and from a business standpoint, that will accelerate migration. So customers will refresh their infrastructure as they embrace DNA and digitization. And finally, software annuity. You have this opportunity to have different kind of conversation when it comes to, again, consuming and purchasing the different elements of the DNA architecture. So in the 1 minute read that I've left, the one thing that I wanted to convey is really, I've been myself in networking for a number of years, right? And I don't think, I think it's a very exciting time to be in networking. The next few years ahead of us are going to be absolutely exciting as our customers are going to evolve their infrastructure, to controller-based architecture, to insights and analytics-based architecture, to cloud-based architecture, which is really DNA. And they'll need you to help them on that journey. So certainly a very exciting time. Again, what I'd like to thank you again for your time. I know you've took that 1 hour out of your very busy schedule, so we are very grateful for that. And with that, I wish you a great day. Thank you again, and back to you, Thomas.
Okay, Eric, and thanks very much for a great presentation to all our speakers, and thanks also for the demos. So let me take the ball now. Let me also make sure that I stop the recording.